Hey, what's up guys? Joker here. Today I want to talk to you about Shadow Warrior 3, which might be one of the best games I have played in years. I cannot remember the last time I have picked up a game like this, and a game I honestly even wasn't looking forward to all that much. I thought the previous Shadow Warrior games were, pretty solid. But sitting down to play this, I caned through about 3 hours without getting up from my seat, and it was incredible. Although not perfect in every regard, there was some stuttering and hitching when loading into new areas, so it is far from perfect as far as the PC version is concerned on launch, but the fun factor for this game is through the fucking roof. Holy shit, grab your nuts, fellas, because this game is fucking awesome. But first, today's video is brought to you by PrimeTechMart.com, where you can save money on software like Windows 10 Pro licenses for under $25. They've also got Windows 10 Home for under $20, and now Windows 11 Pro you can grab over on PrimeTechMart.com. They've also got Office 2019 and the new Office 2021. And if you want to save an additional 20% at checkout on Windows 10 or any other software, go ahead and click Buy It Now, and during the checkout process, go ahead and put JP20 in and apply that coupon, and that'll give you 20% off of any software that you happen to pick up over there. So for Windows 10 Pro, you can see it dropped our price down from $24.46 to under $20. So be sure to hit up the links down in the description below, and don't forget to use my coupon code JP20 at checkout for an additional 20% off. So to start off, as always, before we get into talking about the performance, I do want to jump into the graphic settings and go over what is available for you guys to be able to toggle and change and adjust the game to your heart's content. I was playing at 4K max settings throughout all of my testing, and I wasn't even using any upsampling technology like DLSS or FSR because honestly, it didn't need it. The game ran well over 60 frames per second throughout all of my playing, apart from the stutters and hitches that I did mention earlier, but the majority of that was when loading into new areas. So, but it did happen. I would say that it did happen more frequently than I would have liked. But DLSS is in there if you need to utilize it. It also supports NVIDIA Reflex, AMD FSR, and AMD's Fidelity FX Contact Adaptive Sharpening. You could set frame rate limit, VSync on or off. Obviously, for testing, I was setting the VSync to off. The field of view at 90 did seem a bit narrow, so I'm not sure if they're doing horizontal or vertical here for the numbers that they have applied, but even at 90, which I usually like for first-person shooters, it did seem a bit narrow, so I actually ended up bumping it up to 110. I did also disable motion blur, and as far as the settings that you can tweak for this game, there's not a huge amount of them, but there's a decent amount in here. We've got anti-aliasing, post-processing quality, depth of field, ambient occlusion, shadows quality, texture quality, effects quality, screen space reflections, as well as foliage quality, and overall, the game does look pretty darn solid. Is it going to blow you away as far as graphics are concerned? Probably not, but it still looks pretty damn good. For 2022, I mean, it looks pretty damn great, honestly. I enjoyed the visuals quite a bit. A lot of the particle effects were pretty solid, but overall, at the end of the day, this is all about the gameplay with Shadow Warrior 3, and the closest thing I can compare it to besides previous Shadow Warrior games would be the likes of Doom or Doom Eternal. There are certainly a lot of gameplay elements that it does borrow from those franchises, and it even does it in a overt way where you really have to forgive them for doing so because they really, really do lean right into it. If there's a certain mechanic that they sort of borrow, or one might even say steal, from another franchise like Doom or Doom Eternal, Wolfenstein games or whatever, they kind of make it obvious where they're like things like the grappling hook, where they're saying there's like, if you just listen to the voice actors' lines as you're playing throughout the game, there's a lot of jokes in there like, oh yeah, of course we got a grappling hook, everyone else has got a grappling hook, so of course we have to have one as well. So there's a lot of tongue-in-cheek sort of humor built into this game just with previous titles. A lot of singing from the main character of the game, Wang, and, just like I said, a lot of tongue-in-cheek humor that that most people will probably appreciate, and references to other game franchises, and certain elements that it borrows from, but also pays homage to in a very classy way. I would say, no one's going to sit down and play this and say, "Oh my God, it's like a Doom Eternal ripoff," even though it kind of is, like, in a way, like, yeah, sure. But it does it in a good way. Like, it does it in a funny way. Like, yeah, we're using this element because we saw it in another game and it was great, and we're going to use it here, and we're going to do it in a funnier way, and sort of put our own little twist or spin on it. So, in that sort of way, Shadow Warrior 3 is just hitting on all cylinders, and the fun factor is through the fucking roof. Just had an absolute blasty blast playing this game, even though the performance was, overall frame rate wise, very good. But especially, I would say, in the first 2 levels or so, there was a lot of hitching, a lot of stuttering, loading between different areas of the level. And in those first 2 levels, there's a lot more of it because you're loading into different areas more often. So, they're trying to teach you different game mechanics through, like, the tutorial sort of level, teaching the game mechanics of how to traverse through the world, as well as dispatching the various enemy types that you're going to encounter throughout Shadow Warrior 3. So you kind of have to bear with the game, I would say, through the first level or 2. And you're going to have to deal with some hitching and stuttering loading between areas. Thankfully, though, once you do get into, the second and third level, and you're getting into the fast-paced combat and traversing through the world, a lot of that does smooth out. So it does get better as you play through the game, although I really do wish that the issues that I was seeing weren't there at all, because they really don't seem warranted for what we're seeing on screen in the game. And I'm hoping that with some future patches, we'll get some better optimization, and the game will run better when it is doing those transitions from one area to the next. But the issues with the stuttering and the hitching were definitely there, for me at least, and it didn't seem like a PC issue or something I could have, done better with as far as lowering a graphics setting one way or another. It just kind of seemed like the game engine and the way that it was coded, and like I said, going from one area to the next, the hitches become a lot more prominent. But once you get into that area and you're in the fast-paced combat and you're zooming around, zipping between one enemy to the next, it gets a lot smoother. So in those areas where it's definitely more important for the game to be smooth, it does live up to that, and it plays flawlessly, honestly. And I've really enjoyed. This is probably one of those port reports where I'm talking more about the gameplay than anything else, because it is so fluid. Not necessarily, like I said, there were some frame rate issues. There's definitely some frame rate drops and hitches in loading into new areas. But as far as the combat is concerned, the fluidity of the gameplay loops are so fucking good. It just, it is satisfying, man. It is satisfying as listening to an ASMR barbershop video. Like, you're in there and there's various different enemy types, and you know what you need to do, because they do a good job of introducing the different enemy types and how to dispatch them most efficiently with the finishers, the different weapon types, using the grappling hook to zip from one side of the area to another to, interact with them, picking up ammo and health and all of these different things, and the upgrades for your character for Wang. And, it is just so good. And it's on GOG, which means you can get this game DRM free. I was not provided a code for this game, and I am going to sing its praises from the rooftop, because this is one of the best games I have played in a really long time, honestly. I cannot remember, I think I said this at the beginning, I cannot remember the last time I sat down, played a game, and could not get out of my chair for a good 2-3 hours, and just had to cane through it. And I know that might not sound like a lot to many people out there, but for me, it really is. I have ADHD, through the fucking roof, so for me to sit down and play a game that I wasn't even really looking forward to, and not be able to let go of it for 2 or 3 hours, is saying quite a lot, honestly. And the worst part about this now is that I'm making this video, and I'm going to have to wait for it to render out in 4K 60 FPS to be able to sit down and fucking play it again. This game is awesome. Get it, pick it up. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. So far, 2022, best game of the year, hands down. No question about it. One of the best games I played in years. So fun. The jokes are great. The weapons are good. It's fluid as all fucking hell when you get into the combat. Oh, it's so good. I can't wait to play it again in a couple of hours once this video is finishing rendering out. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'm going to catch you guys next time and get out of here, and I'll see you then. Ta-ra.